The United Galactic Alliance was having a bad century. 3 major diplomatic incidents, 12 minor rebellions, and an embarrassing scandal involving the High Chancellor and a sentient potted plant. But nothing compared to the looming threat of the Gorblax Empire, a species of militaristic cephalopods with a serious chip on all 8 of their shoulders. "They're mobilizing their fleet toward the Orion Arm," announced Grand Admiral Zephoria, her translucent tentacles rippling with concern across the Alliance Council chamber. "Their target appears to be a small backwater planet called Earth." "Earth?" the Council murmured collectively. "Do we have representatives from this planet?" A door slid open with a pneumatic hiss, revealing a disheveled human male wearing what appeared to be formal military attire, if that military allowed ketchup stains on the lapel. Commander Jack Lazarus of Earth, reporting for. "Hang on." The human paused to yawn expansively. "Sorry, jet lag. Space lag? Whatever you call it when you've been frozen for 6 months in a transport pod." Admiral Zephoria's eye stalks twitched in disbelief. "This is humanity's military representative." "Acting representative," Lazarus corrected, pulling a candy bar from his pocket. "Our actual generals were busy with something called budget meetings. I was the only one in the break room when the call came in." "Commander Lazarus," Zephoria began diplomatically, "the Gorblax Empire has targeted your planet for conquest. They believe humans are the only species capable of challenging their dominance." Lazarus snorted, spraying chocolate crumbs. "Us? We can barely challenge the dominance of our own laundry piles. What gave them that idea?" The Council's historian, a gelatinous cube named Blob. Not very imaginative, these gelatinous cubes projected a series of images. They intercepted your transmissions. Specifically these. The projection showed humans lifting impossibly heavy weights, running ultramarathons and surviving catastrophic injuries. "Those are just social media videos," Lazarus explained through another yawn. "Half of those are fake, and the other half represent like 0.001% of our population. Most of us just watch those videos while eating processed carbs." Nevertheless, Zephoria continued, "the Gorblax believe humans are super soldiers who can regenerate limbs and survive without sleep. Their entire battle strategy is based on this assumption." Lazarus blinked slowly. "So, they're planning to invade us because they think we're badasses, but actually most of us are just regular asses." "Precisely. But here," Lazarus scratched his chin, "that could work in our favor. Aboard the Gorblax flagship _inevitable domination _, subtlety wasn't their strong suit." Admiral Krell peered through his ocular enhancers at the holographic display of Earth. All 8 of his tentacles were tense with anticipation, coiled like springs ready to launch a synchronized attack. "These humans," he gurgled ominously, his voice modulator translating his natural bubbling speech into something the rest of the crew could understand without getting wet. "Our intelligence suggests they are formidable opponents." Science Officer Plexus, a younger Gorblax with slightly less intimidating tentacles and significantly more scientific knowledge, manipulated the holographic controls with practiced precision. "Our analysis of human broadcasts indicates they possess remarkable abilities, Admiral. Observe. Observe." The hologram shifted to show a human lifting a vehicle over their head. "Extraordinary strength," noted Plexus. The image changed to a human running through flames. Remarkable heat resistance. Another shift revealed humans submerged underwater for extended periods. Amphibious capabilities. Admiral Krell's skin rippled with colors of admiration and concern. How do they achieve such physical feats without technological enhancement? Unknown, Admiral. Additionally, our psychological profile indicates humans are extraordinarily resistant to fear. Plexus projected a new series of images showing humans jumping from great heights attached to elastic cords, deliberately seeking out dangerous predators, and voluntarily watching something called reality television. "Most concerning," continued Plexus, "is their apparent ability to continue functioning without sufficient rest cycles. Our surveillance shows humans remaining active for days at a time, consuming a stimulant beverage they call coffee." Lieutenant Squirm, the communications officer, tentatively raised a limb. "Sir, there's something else." Their entertainment broadcasts suggest they've defeated multiple alien invasions already. Impossible, sputtered Admiral Krell. They haven't even achieved proper interstellar travel. Nevertheless, Squirm continued, they appear to have extensive experience with extraterrestrial threats. They always exploit a single weakness in otherwise superior invaders. Admiral Krell's color pattern shifted to determined purple. Then we shall have no weaknesses. Triple the shield generators, quadruple the tentacle-to-tentacle combat training, and most importantly, he leaned forward dramatically, ensure all troops are resistant to the human beverage coffee. I suspect it may be a biological weapon. In the corner of the command bridge, military strategist Grippy nervously reviewed actual data on human military capabilities. Sir, should we perhaps consider that these entertainment broadcasts might not be factual representations of? Silence. Commanded Krell. Are you suggesting our intelligence division would mistake fiction for reality? We are the Gorblacks. We have conquered 17 star systems. Actually 16, sir, Squirm corrected meekly. The Flubbonians surrendered before we arrived because they had a scheduled nap time. 16, 17. The number is irrelevant to prepare the invasion fleet. Krell's tentacles flailed dramatically. Is it we shall strike at their obvious weakness? Which is? Asked Plexus. Krell paused, suddenly uncertain. Well, everyone has a weakness. We'll figure out theirs when we get there. Dr. Ellie Bright had spent her entire academic career being laughed out of conference rooms. Her theories about alien life weren't just considered fringe. They were considered the fringe of the fringe of the fringe, the thing other conspiracy theorists found too outlandish. Yet here she was, staring through her backyard telescope at what was unmistakably an alien armada assembling in high Earth orbit. I knew it, she shouted to her cat, Professor Whiskers, who responded with his usual academic rigor, which is to say, he licked his butt. 15 years of being called Loony Ellie, and I was right all along. She reached for her phone, then hesitated. Who exactly does one call about an alien invasion? The police? The military? The History Channel? Meanwhile, across town, Commander Jack Lazarus had returned from his Intergalactic Council meeting and was trying desperately to report what he'd learned. The problem was, no one with actual authority would take his call. Listen, he shouted into his phone for the 12th time that day. I'm not some random crackpot. I'm literally the acting military liaison to the United Galactic Alliance. No, that's not a band name. He pinched the bridge of his nose as the Pentagon receptionist hung up on him again. His next call was to the White House. Hello, I need to speak with the President about an impending alien invasion. Lazarus tried to sound official and not at all like someone who should be on medication. Sir, this is the public comment line, came the board response. If you'd like to share your concerns about extraterrestrial policy, please press 1. If you'd like to report a UFO sighting, please call the Air Force. If you're experiencing hallucinations, please contact your healthcare provider. But I've just come back from space. I met with aliens. Other aliens are about to attack us. Lazarus was shouting now, causing his neighbor to peek concernedly through the blinds. Sir, we get 17 calls like this every day. Would you like me to transfer you to the Department of Defense suggestion box? Lazarus hung up and threw his phone onto the couch. This is ridiculous. We're about to be invaded by hyper-intelligent space octopuses, and I can't even get past a receptionist. His doorbell rang. When he opened it, he found a frizzy-haired woman clutching a stack of papers and looking wild-eyed. Are you Commander Lazarus? The one who just returned from a classified space mission. Lazarus blinked in surprise. How do you? I'm Dr. Ellie Bright, astrophysicist, also widely discredited alien theorist, but mostly the astrophysicist part. She thrust out her hand. There's an alien fleet assembling in orbit, and according to my Google stalking, you're the only person on Earth with official extraterrestrial contact experience. Finally, Lazarus pulled her inside, someone who believes me. Yes, they're called the Gorblacks, and they think humans are some kind of super soldiers. Dr. Bright snorted. US? Super soldiers? Have they seen a Walmart on Black Friday? Exactly. but they've only intercepted our most impressive broadcasts. They think we're all Olympic athletes and action movie heroes. Dr. Bright's eyes widened with realization. So they're preparing for a war against a species that doesn't actually exist. Yep, Lazarus nodded. And no one in authority will listen long enough for me to explain that we could use this misunderstanding to our advantage. Then we don't need the authorities, Dr. Bright said, a mischievous smile spreading across her face. We just need to let humans be humans. The first Gallblack's reconnaissance pod touched down in a suburban park in Cleveland, Ohio. The timing was perfect, 3:17 a.m. local time, when human defenses would be at their weakest due to their inferior sleep requirements. Lieutenant Tentaclex emerged cautiously, all 8 appendages armed with different weapons. According to the briefing, humans could attack at any moment with their supernatural strength and endurance. Instead, he found an empty park, save for one human slouched on a bench, illuminated by the blue glow of a small device. "Halt, human," Tentaclex announced, his translator converting his bubbling speech to English. "You are now under the control of the Gallblack's empire." The human, a teenager named Kevin who was out playing Pokemon Go well past his curfew, barely looked up. "Yeah, cool costume, dude. There's a Snorlax over by the duck pond if you're playing." Tentaclex was confused. Was this some kind of military code? "I am not playing. This is a serious invasion. I am confiscating your communications device." Kevin finally looked up, saw what appeared to be a man in an elaborate octopus costume, and sighed. "Whatever, man. Just let me catch this first." He flicked his finger across the screen, then held it up toward Tentaclex. "See? Got him. You can take it if you want. But my mum's going to be pissed if I lose another phone." Tentaclex's training hadn't prepared him for this level of psychological warfare. The human showed no fear, no respect for Gallblack's authority. Was this the legendary human courage, or something more sinister? Similar scenes played out across the globe as the first wave of Gallblack's forces encountered not organized resistance, but bewildering indifference. In Tokyo, a scout team discovered humans standing in line for hours just to eat at a particular restaurant. The Gallblacks interpreted this as an endurance test and retreated to reconsider their approach. In Rio de Janeiro, a Gallblack's death squad encountered a street party and were handed drinks with little umbrellas in them before they could announce their hostile intentions. 3 hours later, they were teaching humans the traditional Gallblack's mating dance, which looked suspiciously like the Macarena. Back on the _inevitable domination _ Admiral Krell was receiving increasingly confused reports. "Sir," reported Commander Suction Cup, "our forces in a region called New York were completely ignored. The humans just walked around them, occasionally taking pictures." "Impossible. What about the takeover of their information networks?" "Well, sir," Suction Cup shifted uncomfortably. "We hacked into something called Twitter. But our announcement of planetary conquest received only 7 likes, and someone called us Budget Cthulhu cosplayers." Admiral Krell's color pattern shifted to frustrated magenta. "And the bioweapon deployment?" "We released it in multiple population centers." "But," Suction Cup paused. "Sir, the humans are voluntarily consuming substances far more toxic than our bioweapons. Something called energy drinks and fast food. Our poisons seem mild by comparison." Meanwhile, Commander Lazarus and Dr. Bright had set up an impromptu command center in her basement, monitoring the invasion through social media. "It's working," Ellie exclaimed, scrolling through Twitter. "People think it's a viral marketing campaign for a movie. No one's taking it seriously." Lazarus nodded. "The Gallblacks aren't prepared for humans who don't care. Their whole strategy depends on the US putting up organized resistance." "Which we're physiologically incapable of doing before coffee," Ellie added, sipping from her 4th cup that morning. After 3 days of the most unsuccessful invasion in galactic history, Admiral Krell called an emergency strategy session. "This defies all logic," he bubbled furiously. "The humans aren't fighting back. They're just continuing their lives as if we don't matter." Science Officer Plexus displayed his latest findings. "Sir, I've discovered something disturbing. It appears the humans have developed the ultimate psychological weapon, apathy. Explain, demanded Krell. They've evolved beyond the need for direct confrontation. Plexus continued. When faced with a threat, they simply ignore it until it goes away. They call this process procrastination, and it's devastatingly effective against traditional military tactics. Lieutenant Squirm raised a tentacle. Additionally, sir, we've observed humans utilizing something called sarcasm, a form of communication where they say the opposite of what they mean. It's impossible to interpret their true intentions. And worst of all, added military strategist Grippy, they've weaponized laziness. Our troops report humans surviving on minimal sustenance called leftover pizza while remaining immobile for hours watching Netflix. Yet they somehow maintain combat readiness. Back on Earth, Dr. Bright had made a breakthrough. Jack. I figured it out. She burst into Lazarus's makeshift bedroom, her couch, waking him from his third nap of the day. Waha, he mumbled, wiping drool from his chin. The Gorblack's communication system. It's sensitive to specific electromagnetic frequencies, the same frequencies emitted by our Wi-Fi routers and microwave ovens. Every time someone heats up a burrito, it's scrambling their signals. Lazarus blinked sleepily. So you're saying, our junk food addiction is actually saving the planet? Exactly. And there's more. Their environmental suits can't handle our pollution levels. They're designed for toxic atmospheres, but not the specific combination of car exhaust, factory emissions, and whatever Bath Body Works puts in their air fresheners. Lazarus sat up, suddenly alert. So our greatest weaknesses as a species are actually our greatest strengths against the Gorblacks, Ellie finished. We need to be even more human. Within hours, they had enlisted the help of everyone they could reach through social media. The plan was simple. Do absolutely nothing different, but do it more intensely. Fast food consumption increased. Netflix binges extended. People left their Wi-Fi routers on even when not in use. Gyms mysteriously closed for maintenance. The entire human race collectively leaned into their worst habits. On the Gorblack's command ship, systems were failing left and right. Sir, cried Lieutenant Squirm, our communication arrays are being overwhelmed by some kind of radiation. And the environmental analysis team reports the atmosphere is becoming increasingly toxic, added Plexus. The humans appear to be terraforming their own planet against us. Admiral Krell watched in horror as his invasion force crumbled before the most passive resistance in military history. It was a trap all along, he whispered. They knew their sheer indifference would be our undoing. 2 weeks after the invasion began, Commander Jack Lazarus stood before the United Galactic Alliance Council, trying not to look too smug. So let me get this straight, said Admiral Zephoria, her tentacles twitching with disbelief. Your species defeated the most feared military force in the galaxy by doing nothing? Well, not nothing, Lazarus corrected. We did what we do best. We procrastinated, complained on social media, ordered takeout, and binge-watched streaming services. Turns out, that's kryptonite to space octopuses. Next to him stood Dr. Ellie Bright, now officially Earth's first extraterrestrial defense strategist, and Admiral Krell, former commander of the Gorblack's invasion fleet, but now a humiliated prisoner of war. The humans, Krell admitted reluctantly, possess psychological warfare capabilities beyond our comprehension. They defeated us without a single direct engagement. They simply outlazied us. The council chambers erupted in murmurs of amazement. The treaty terms are quite reasonable, continued Lazarus, pulling a crumpled paper from his pocket. The Gorblacks will provide Earth with clean energy technology and space travel advancements. In exchange, we won't export our cultural weapons, reality TV, social media, and fast food to Gorblack's-controlled planets. And Earth's official status within the Alliance, inquired Zephoria. We're classified as chaotically neutral, Lazarus grinned. No one wants to mess with us because no one understands us. Our greatest defense is that we make no sense. Dr. Bright stepped forward. The Gorblacks expected super soldiers. Instead, they got people arguing about which pizza toppings are acceptable and watching cat videos. They trained to fight heroes, but had no defense against ordinary humans just living their lives. After the formal proceedings, Lazarus and Bright prepared for their return journey to Earth, where they would be hailed as heroes once people actually believed the invasion was real and not an elaborate TikTok prank. "You know what the funniest part is?" Lazarus said, as they boarded their transport. "If they had just asked nicely, we probably would have given them whatever they wanted. Humans love being helpful when there's no pressure." "True," Bright nodded. "The moment you demand something from us, we become the most stubborn creatures in the universe." Admiral Krell, overhearing this final exchange, changed color to the Gorblack's equivalent of a facepalm. The most powerful military force in the galaxy, defeated not by superior weaponry or tactics, but by humanity's intrinsic ability to just not give a damn. And somewhere on Earth, Kevin from Cleveland was telling his friends about the super-realistic alien he met in the park, but nobody believed him, which was, perhaps, the most human response of all.